Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live chat. I appreciate it. Today we're going to be doing just like a casual conversation discussion around the Dylan Rounds case in general. But also I want to share with you an interesting comment by Lance Kelly regarding possibilities of where Dylan could be located at. Okay, so I'll take a look at that comment a bit later on. In between, I think what we'll do whilst people gather, because not everyone appears all at once, of course, we'll take a look at the last video I did about Dylan, check the comments out, see if there's any updates there or anything of interest. An additional point I want to highlight, okay, and you'll probably see it in the title of this video, and I want to bring it up probably at the start today, is to do with Brenner and the court case. Regarding that, there's an update, okay? I know some of you will know, others may not. People that come on in, new viewers, will not know either. And I believe there is a comment which basically summarises the current situation. So that's why we're going to go into the comment section as well and read through it all. Okay, so it's all under control. Then later, we're going to take a look at that forum page, continue on. I think it might be page 19. Yeah, I think it's page 19. Or is it 18? Well, we'll get to it later. That's all fine. I went on to the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page. There isn't too much of interest there, but like there wasn't really anything new or groundbreaking. Though what I did see was a link to some website. Is it called Missing Person America? I can't quite remember the name, but it's basically a website, an official one, which as if it's compiled all of the relevant stuff and the supposed complete timeline of what's known of in the correct order, okay, along with some other bits and bobs. If you want me to share that with you in a video, read it all out so you can just sit there and listen along, or if you're doing activities you can still listen to it auditory. If you want coverage of that website to do with Dylan, which may summarize everything, which may provide a bit of clarity, which may provide, I don't know, things you've never heard of before, you never know, make sure to vote right now on the poll. And I'll keep this poll up, I guess, throughout the video up to a certain point, okay? If people join later and are confused, feel free to explain it to the odd person, okay? But I'll leave the poll up. If you want me to cover it, I will. If not, then we look at something else, okay? So, yeah, I think it's time just to go into the comments now and read on. Right, so here we are. Oh, and one thing before we continue, because I forgot to say before, naughty me, is that with the live chat, feel free to share your thoughts, opinions, reactions, and talk about a range of other things in between as we do go along in this video, okay? So first of all, we got Tara. Tara, Backpack and Go. She goes by many different names. You never know what she'll be called next, so it's always a mystery. She says, yeah, been busy. Okay, is that my problem? I'm only joking. Okay, there it is. So shout out to Tara. Is it Tara or Tara? I can't do it in an American accent. We've got Gayleen Cole. I'm still here listening and stalking. Good morning. Shout out to Gayleen Cole. I think she's a new viewer, so that's good of her to pop in. We got Wanda Atkinson. She says, sorry about my mad rant on Mad Marble. Mabel, I still get mixed up with the names. Your videos are interesting. So shout out to Wanda. Yeah, as for Mad Mabel, little update on her. Well, I can provide a little update later in this video, I guess. What else do we have? Christy B says the chat that Ellen mentioned, YouTube doesn't show the chat immediately. You know, the Premiere takes them a few minutes to upload the chat. Yeah, okay, understandable. Now, this is the other thing. Okay, I don't know if any of you have realised, I don't know if it always applies, but do you know when you get other channels whichever channels they may be, ones you're interested in to do with true crime, to do with Dylan, you know, the ones where they're classified as members only. You can only view it if you're a member, and if you're not, you click on it, you get a black screen and text saying, you know, denied access, you know. But what I've experienced, if these channels are live at the time, you can watch it and you don't have to be a member. You can't comment, but you can watch the video even if you're not a member. So that's a little bit dodgy, that. Don't know why that's the case, but, you know, it is what it is. And it's only once the video has ended, then you can't watch it anymore. Okay? Okay. So here we are. We have a very short comment section, but that's fine. It makes it more efficient, so we can move on to the next talking point. This is the update regarding Brenner. It's shout out to Glorin Dellen. I did originally leave a comment on her channel asking what was the situation, and she said she would reply. She made a video herself, so if you want to go on a channel, feel free to do so. But this is kind of like summarized. So shout out to Autism Without Limits. They're a new viewer. They've shown up in recent times, so that's good of them. And they basically say, in summary, according to Glorin Dellen, also known as True Crime Utah, that's the username of Glorin Dellen if you used to search on YouTube. True Crime Utah. Okay? It says, but the court clerk in Brigham City told her that James A. Brenner's case was continued to April 24th at 10:30 a.m. There were no new charges. Glorin Dellen just uploaded a short video addressing this matter. Okay. So just brief little backstory. Glorin Dellen did say to me previous that she was going to call, you know, someone in the court or whatever. And that's what happened. And the court clerk replied back. So, yeah, Brenner's case continued, I guess also known as delayed, April 24th. Is it a surprise? I wouldn't say so. I'm kind of expecting it, to be honest. Maybe if Dylan was found... Actually, do you know what? I just want to mention a quick point, and feel free to answer it in the chat. If it says it's been continued till April 24th, and in between now till then, if Dylan is found, will they bring the court case closer? Will they bring it back earlier? Or will it still be on the 24th? I want to know your thoughts. Because what people have said, one of the main driving points behind these court cases being delayed, which should have been done way back September, I think, 2022, is because Dylan has not been found. And I've always questioned, saying that why do these unrelated cases, which haven't got anything to do with Dylan, why do they need to be delayed for until Dylan's found? That's what I didn't quite understand. But I guess it's probably tying it all into one, all in one go, doing it at once, possibly. Brenner, regardless, isn't going anywhere. He's not going to be released. So I think it's kind of a positive in a way, and I can explain it to you now. So the way I see things is, the longer they delay it, it might annoy Brenner. Maybe Brenner wants it over and done with. You know, he can't stand the waiting, the uncertainty, the unknown. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's better to just find out the truth, find out the outcome, get it over and done with, whether it be positive or bad news, regardless. When you're left almost hanging, it's like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen? It can maybe make you feel a bit tense, a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit nervous, a bit frustrated, a bit angry. You never know. These little psychological effects can play a part. I mean, unrelated, outside of prison jail, is you got Kurt Wadsworth, and some of the locals have said he's started losing it, you know, the way he's behaving, and, you know, something like that. Not that it will happen, but it could. Could he confess to something? Could he reveal something if he breaks down? Breaking point. You never know. You really never know. So maybe that could happen with Brenner. But I think they're just going to keep delaying it until Dylan is found, to be honest. I think that's the only other reason. And, you know, I guess some people anticipate each time this court case comes about on the day, but I don't really, because I just keep thinking, oh, it's just going to be delayed. It's just going to be delayed, and so on and so on. Maybe, well, actually, what I want to ask you, and feel free to answer it in the chat. Let's say Dylan was found in 10 years' time. I know that's extreme, but I just use extreme examples. That's what I do. If Dylan was found in 10 years' time, does Brenner's court date keep getting delayed for 10 years straight or not? Is there like a point where they've got to put the foot down and say, we've got to get on with court proceedings, we just got to get on with it, we can't keep delaying it anymore? Let me know your thoughts. Because as said, when it comes to like the court stuff, when it comes to the legal things, I'm not an expert in that. I can read it over, I can read some text, but I'm not going to understand it, okay? You've seen me where I analyse photos or I try and pick things out from it, or when I'm just looking at text about standard information of things, I can try and word it or see if there's any hidden messages with it, but the court stuff, no. Plus, I've never been in one, so I'm not going to know. I mean, the only, I guess, court-related thing I did watch, which was kind of regular, was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case back then. I didn't like sit there 24/7 watching it, but had it on in the background here and there over the days or weeks it was on for. It was quite some length. It was kind of fun to watch, yeah. But what I will highlight, kind of unrelated to Dylan Round, well, obviously unrelated to Dylan Rounds, is how degenerate some humans were. Basically, let's say on Twitch, it probably happened on YouTube as well, but it was more on Twitch. It was the bandwagon sheep brigade. All the popular Twitch creators, maybe pro gamers, cancerous influencers, all those degens. And instead of playing their games or talking, chatting like how they normally do, entertaining people, they literally sat on their arses and watched the live streams of these court cases, which were live on YouTube by the official court channels. And it was basically like reposting it as like a live elsewhere on a different platform, Twitch, with them in the camera frame, just sat there like that, watching. And it was like 50 to 60,000 people watching along instead of actually watching on the official YouTube channel, okay? And does it really matter? Yeah, these Twitch people were still getting donations, still getting paid, still getting this, still getting that, still getting the memberships. For what? Just sitting there reposting a video. You lazy bastards, okay? Even the people that play, like, you know, the gaming stuff, where they put effort in, whether it be the way they talk, the way they sound, the gameplay they produce, even that's more entertaining. But actually sat there recording yourself reacting to the court case live, it just seems very lazy and very degenerative and sheepish, because it wasn't just one person, it was everyone, all the big people. It was pathetic, absolutely pathetic with a big P, okay, capital P, okay. So let's just put that aside, okay. You saw, small comment section, that's fine, it's quick, everyone done with, move on. If you are just joining now and you didn't watch the earlier part, make sure to do so. Also, just once again, make sure to highlight it, say it back to people who join later on in this video so we can avoid the conflicts and complaints. The title of the video, a portion of it which is of interest, Brenner's court case, make sure to rewind back to the beginning of this video where I presented that update to you, okay? All under control. So with that out of the way, let's move on to Lance Kelly for a second. So I've seen his channel, he has uploaded some videos here and there, searching for Dylan Rounds, still to do with the caves, going in these narrow, small caves. And it's like, okay, some people will agree with it, other people won't. But what about the cadaver dog training? Has that already been completed? or is it like 50% there? It's just because the way I heard it in the past, and I mean in the past, Lance said, I got to go away somewhere, maybe Carolina, North Carolina, got to do the dog training program for 6 weeks straight. And then once that's finally completed, then we can get on with searching for people. Has it been 6 weeks already? I've not, kept count of it. If it has, then there we go. But I did see a comment a couple of weeks ago, someone saying, oh, it's only for 3 weeks. And it's like, 3 weeks of training, is that long enough? Part of me thinks, no, it's not long enough. It needs to be much longer to be able to train the dog, learn the techniques yourself, develop some kind of bond or something with the dog so the dog will listen to your orders and respond accordingly. I mean, what's your thoughts on that in the chat? Feel free to give your thoughts, Has the dog training been completed? Yes, no? And if so, is it too quick? Is it not practical? Just, feel free to leave your thoughts. And also, if you are kind of like thinking, well, what about these recent videos by Lance Kelly going in these caves? Not even mine shafts, just caves, which some of them are very narrow. Some of them don't even have a big opening. And it's like, it seems like the most impractical of places to be searching, especially where Dylan would be at. He wouldn't be there. But let's check out Lance's recent comment to explain why he's looking in those locations. So here we are, the comments by Colleen, and she's responding back to what she thinks about the video, saying how he has to be on that farm. Basically, Colleen disagrees with Lance Kelly and where he's searching, though Lance replies and says federal investigators with search dogs have been on the farm. I don't think we are dealing with world-class backhoe operators that could cover up a hole they dug well enough to be undetected. It's more likely he had help and Dylan is in the mountains somewhere based on what we know from evidence. Stay open-minded. So that's interesting, that. If it was just left as, well, we think it's more to do with the mountains, then that's just like an opinion. But the bit about from evidence, interesting. We will read over that in a second. We'll analyse it, and feel free to, share your thoughts and responses. Federal investigators, search dogs, been on the farm. Now, I wasn't quite aware whether or not search dogs, cadaver dogs have been on the farm or not when it comes to the LE, right? In the past, when Candice Cooley was saying, no, it didn't happen, it was delayed, it was denied, oh, it was much later on. And it's like, well, when were the dogs truly used? When were they truly on the farmland area, right? That's what I wanted to know. I mean, I'd say, well, they've at least been on the farm area at least once now. That's what I would say from what I know of, which may be limited. And that's just because of that big push, which was before December 2022, if you remember that, with the cadaver K9 unit. Because we actually did a video on that, and Candice Cooley provided a link on the Facebook page of the group that was used and the website. And it gave a bit of a description of the dogs, how they used, the specialities and all that, which was interesting. Is on my channel if you want to check that out, okay? And also, I think I forgot to say it earlier, if you haven't already, based off the comment section of the last video, if you want to read it for yourself, make sure to check out my previous video. I'll provide a link down below in the pinned comment section, okay? The bit here about saying, I don't think we are dealing with world-class backhoe operators that could cover up a hole they dug well. And to be honest, okay. So basically, Lance is saying that Dylan isn't likely to be at the farm or near the grain shed. The backhoe that is present, which was originally at Dylan's farm, which could have been more used there than rather than the grain shed, because the area's been searched and checked, not really found anything, because the drones, the full spectral one, was used at different points, checking for soil disturbance, yet didn't find anything of interest, from what we know of at least. It was never explained, that point. Never explained. What's your thoughts on that? You remember the full spectral drone, the one Heavy D was operating? You remember that in 2022 towards the end of the year? And also the big push search with the drone there, and Mob Crew Chris present too. And Justin Rounds, his response post that in 2022 was, well, there's still images to be analysed and so on and so on. Candice Cooley came out with the same thing. It wasn't truly talked about. It wasn't truly cleared up that. So it's still open to interpretation, right? But at least from the farm, even like when Pancakes went himself looking about, he didn't find anything, supposedly. Most of the ground appeared how it should do, I guess. Not too many dodgy or suspicious looking mounds. So I can understand why Lance is saying what he said. It's kind of like that argument of you're either dealing with a person or maybe a group, depending how you look at it. Let's just say a person. You're looking at it as either it's a person that is an expert when it comes to disposing of bodies. They can do it on site, and yet it can't be detected because they have such a great technique of making it appear very natural. However, they dig the hole and cover it up. You're either dealing with that, which probably is very unlikely, or the possibility of someone with or without additional help concealing the body, hiding it further afar, north, east, southwest, whichever way. And because external searches have not been done officially, and it's been more concentrated at the farm area, the wash, Dylan's farm, you're never going to find Dylan. If Dylan isn't in the area and you're constantly searching in that area, you will never find Dylan. Okay, and that's just being realistic. But ultimately, what you need and what people do need, and I don't know if that's the case in this one, is you need some evidence that points you in a different direction, right? I know some will see it as a wild goose chase, but if there's evidence in a different direction, it makes you think, oh, this opens up a new unexplored area that needs to be investigated. And then it might reveal something else, then something else. That's all I'm saying. Ultimately, though, it'd be interesting to know what evidence was found in recent time. Because like when Candice Cooley said that in that interview, the East Idaho News Channel one, and Doug's mainly, about the stuff going on, but we can't reveal it at this moment in time, and that there is evidence found, but we don't even know what that evidence is. Is it to do with Dylan's clothing? Is it a gun? Is it some kind of miscellaneous item? What could it be? And most importantly, where was it found? On the land which has been searched and investigated, or further afar? Because if it's further afar, I think new searches need to take place, don't you think? So yeah, that's like what we're dealing with. Either a ultra professional at concealing bodies, or just simply someone that thought outside of the box, literally outside of the parcel land, and moved afar. But did Brenner have help? Yes, no. Some people think so, other people don't. Candice Cooley seems to strongly believe it was only Brenner that was capable. Now, is Brenner capable enough of being able to pick Dylan up, put him in the back of the car or something, and then drag him out and then dump him? Or, does he not have the strength, his age, his stamina? What's the situation with that? You get what I'm saying? If you have a couple of guys to help you, or at least one other, then they can lighten the load from the work or the job that he's doing at the time, right? So Lance seems to think that there's more than one person involved. If that truly is the case, then you assume that that other person or persons are still out there. And whilst nothing might be going wrong now, it's just that knowing that there could be other dangerous people out there, and yet not much is being done, because what can be done if people aren't talking, or if not much progress has been made? And then it's like, is there a possibility that those that may be guilty, walking free, end up committing another crime down the line, and then another person, another family gets harmed, and it should never have happened? You think that's a possibility? I would do another poll, but to be honest, I'm still awaiting to see what people think about the current poll. Yeah, make sure to vote on that, as said. Anything else here? It's more than likely he had help and Dylan is in the mountains somewhere. In the mountains, though, is it practical, realistically? I mean, we can take a look. We probably can even do a quick impromptu map analysis of the mountainous area, which Lance is talking about, to try and understand it from his point of view, but also counter it with my opinion, okay? There's no harm in doing that. The most interesting part from this comment, though, this response, is the bit where it says, based on what we know from evidence. So evidence which they have, which they've seen, points in the direction of the mountains, hints in the direction of the mountains. Does anyone know what this evidence is? Anyone? Is it evidence that has been publicly talked about already? Or is it evidence which only a few people know of? Because I've not heard anything by Candice Cooley or Justin Rounds to suggest that Dylan's in the mountain area, right? And that's for the evidence which has been found and talked about publicly and openly. It's mostly to do with around Dylan's farm or kind of near to the grain shed or on the site of the grain shed, roughly in those areas, and that's about it. I've not heard or seen evidence found further north or further west, further south, unless you have. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think Lance Kelly has evidence which no one else knows of? Do you think it might be more of an opinion? Do you think this person's lying? Let me know your thoughts, because it's just interesting this. Not directly saying what the evidence is, but just saying that they know of evidence. So they're keeping it vague. Maybe it's for obvious reasons. Maybe it's to keep themselves safe. I'm not quite sure. Well, let me know your thoughts. Let's just go on to the maps now. We might as well, on the spot whilst we're here. Right, on Lucin, here we are. Rotate around, so we're facing the mountainous area. So I assume that when Lance is talking about the mountains, it's more to do with the mountains on the border, which you see west of Dylan's farm and the grain shed. This mountainous region, could call it like a spine in a way. It almost looks like a spine, not quite a straight one, from there all the way down to about the tip here. Okay, sure, you do get like smaller mountains over there, like Graham Peak, that one there, Crater, what's that called? Crater Island. Interesting name. Can we check a photo of that? We can, okay. Why not? Let's take a look at this. I don't think we have seen this before. This is the problem with Google Earth. You'll get named locations which stand out, and then others, you got to really zoom in on a specific part for the green text to pop up. So this is of Crater Island or so, and the surrounding area. So we can take a look at this because it's within the Lucin area. This might not be what Lance is talking about or exactly where he's searching, but it's to do with the topic and the theme of mountains, which Lance believes where Dylan is at, right? The importance of looking at these areas is to see if there's any entrances, exit points, places where you can get into easily for access, ease of access. You got to take in mind that Brenner, his height, his build, his health or lack of it, can all play a role in how someone would dispose of someone like Dylan, right? Dylan being kind of questionable with height, but as worded by Nam Us, 5'10" to 6 foot, which is questionable. As for his weight, up to 145 pounds, questionable. Could Brenner easily move someone like that? Well, Brenner is shorter in height, so it could be a bit difficult. Is Brenner strong? I don't know, but he appears fat, or once did. I know where you get strong men who can be fat but strong, But as for Brenner, people like Candice Cooley said he's a slob. He just sits about, doesn't exercise, doesn't like really do too much. So yeah, maybe he would need help, possibly, as well. Like when you got dead body weight, that is harder to move, to shift, right? Unless Brenner just dragged him. But like for, what distance, right? That's why you'd assume that maybe a vehicle was used to get to these places, such as a mountainous area. One, because of the gradient, maybe the steepness, the rockiness, the terrain, right? And all of that. But let me know, through any of these pictures, do you think Dylan could be at? I mean, already, look at this popping up. I don't know where this is at specifically. If anyone does know, whether it be a local, whether it be a hiker who's been out there, a searcher, Ty Corbin, etc., feel free to give your thoughts, right? Don't know where it's at. What's it of? Is it some kind of mine shaft? A mine? Is it a bunker? I mean, there seems to be a fair few stones, rocks scattered about, but kind of in place. The ones on top, though, do appear loose, as you can see. There's like a wooden beam going across, so I'd probably think it's an entrance to a mine, a horizontal one. It is kind of dark, so it's hard to see inside, but, something like that is kind of accessible. But, if you was to go in there, you probably have to, like, crouch down or go on your hands and knees from the looks of it. And would Brenner be going to that length? Probably not. I mean, if it was taller in height and you could just literally walk on in, maybe just bow your head slightly, then Brenner could do something like that whilst dragging Dylan along. But how deep, how far in, right? That's why I've always said that if it was to do with a mine shaft, if that ever was in play as a potential to where Dylan could be at, most likely it would be a mine shaft, meaning you don't have to go into it. All you have to do is drop Dylan into it and he'll descend in. You get me? You got like an open area, a hole, and you just roll Dylan into it. That's it. Probably kicking with your leg, and that's it. But if you actually have to go inside of something, that requires more effort, and Brenner doesn't look like the type of guy to put in effort unless he had help, unless that help did have better strength, stamina, durability. You know what I'm saying? But let me know your thoughts on this on screen. Does it look interesting? Is it mysterious or not? It's overgrown, so, you can take that into mind. Let's see what other images we've got. Some vegetation there. Not quite sure what vegetation it is. The ground itself does look a little bit dirty, dusty. Sand, grain. And very dry too. Is it all by the same person? No. Also, you got to take in mind these locations, the dates of them, right? You could say, well, this person's been here and taken a photo. They would have found Dylan if Dylan was here. But it's like, yeah, but this was 2019. We're talking about 2022 going into 2023. Okay, so you got to take that in mind in terms of relevancy of photography when it was taken. Okay. So we've got some flat ground here from the looks of it. Some tyre marks. Looks dry. Is this like a small lake? Some kind of salt lake or something? It shares those characteristics of it. You do have in the distance some mountains, but I don't know which way we're looking, okay? I'll be honest with you, because it all looks the same. You don't have the vegetation spread out, but you see how vast it is over there and how open. Technically, you can see for miles, but there's not much to look at. Okay, so we've got another interesting spot here. This looks like some kind of stove, some kind of fireplace, whatever you call it, man-made. Is this to do with the mining in the area? Goes up there, the gradient, to like a mountain or cliff. What do we have here? So you see these stones have all been put together. Looks like cement was used to hold it in place. Oh, it does go down quite a bit. You've got some spare bits of wood or loose wood on the side. What's there? Like some kind of metal tin box, rusted within the vegetation. Some more wooden boards on the left-hand side with nails stuck out. Yeah, so this probably does... Is it by the same person? Yeah, it is. This is probably tied on with that little mine entrance, what we saw before. Got some rocks there on the right. And it's man-made, this. You can see it's kind of black inside, so there was a fire at some point, don't know exactly when. And actual bricks were used, so interesting. Not exactly ancient from my knowledge, but old enough. Yeah, interesting. What do we have here? Some more mountains. I mean, what's that over there? In the middle of the screen, on top of that like mountain, right in the middle of the screen, what's that little black thing stuck up? Is it a twig? A branch? An antennae? What is it? Weird when those things pop up out of nowhere. Kind of happened within the Kenny Veach case at times, wondering what that was, what this was. Always had that feeling with those Kenny Veach searches that when looking up at the mountains, the peaks, that were you expecting to see someone just stood on top, like a dark silhouette figure staring down at you? Always had that feeling, and I wasn't even in the area. So, don't know why I kept thinking of that. Did anyone else have that same thought? Let me know. But yeah, I can't quite see any caves at the moment. There's more caves in Nevada, like Mojave Desert, than there is here. Oh shit, we've got a snake. Damn. Okay. Maybe the first time we've actually come across a snake photo in the wild. It kind of blends in as well. There's a snake. It's a very long one. Don't know what type of snake it is. If anyone does know, feel free to leave it in the comments. I don't know what he's doing with it. Probably just wanted to take a photo. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Oh, is that like another angle? Yeah. I mean, when it's in that like vegetation, it is kind of difficult to see. So I guess like, if you're walking along, you got to be careful. I know when it came to the Kenny Veach case, it was probably more so before Kenny Veach disappeared himself. When Kenny was out there, he was wearing like snake guards. And I think even when the Ewu crew were doing their own little adventures and explorations, nothing to do with Kenny, they, I think, had like snake guards on as well to prevent you from getting bit in the leg, the shin area, and a bit above. Has anyone wore like snake guards when searching for Dylan, or is that not necessary? I mean, are the differing snakes compared to like loose in Utah and Montello, Nevada, the outskirts, different types of snakes or the same? Let me know. Yeah. Let's move on. What do we have here? There's some interesting structure. Oh, is this to do with like one of those like mine cart tracks? Which would go into like a mine shaft. Must be. This must be an area where they've been mining in the past. You can see the concrete structures on the ground. Some more blocks in the distance. Yeah. And you got the wood there too, which would have been acting as like the tracks, but it's rotted with time and looks like it's broken down as well. And then it comes to an end here. Interesting. Got some like metal pole in there. I guess that's to reinforce the concrete. That's an interesting find. And this here, this looks like, is this like another mine or mine shaft? Could be. Not quite sure what angle though. On the side of the mountain. Very rocky up there and steep. Not the sort of place Brenner would be going up, to dispose of Dylan. But someone like Lance Kelly has been in this terrain, as you've seen in his videos, going up and checking out. Is it truly practical though? That's what I want to know with your thoughts. Is it really practical? What I would say is going to these like places where the terrain is quite challenging and difficult and awkward, it's probably not going to lead you in the direction to where Brenner went or where someone else went to dispose of Dylan, because it's not practical. But if it's an alternative way of getting up there to be able to look into somewhere which isn't accessible on lower ground, then I could understand that. An example would be if you had a mine entrance, ground level, kind of like this one. Looks like it's on ground level at least. Let's say it was caved in. You couldn't get into the place. So what you might do is track back a different way to be able to find an alternative, entrance point. And that might mean having to work your way all the way up there to the top where it descends in, which is a vertical mine shaft, right? That's the way I see it. And then if you can get into that access point, then you might find something, but it's not a guarantee. And maybe with time, the direction of this case and where it's gone, it seems like it's slanted, moved away from the idea that Dylan's in the mountainous area. I mean, in the past, there's a fair few people considering it when it came to Lance Kelly and Ty Corbin doing their searches Bald Eagle Mountain, but that's kind of faded away, that concept. Let's move on. Okay. It's got another image there. It's a little bit clearer, this one. You can see shadows in the distance, but none of them look like caves. I guess the other interesting thing is, just a little observation, not to do with Dylan, but like with Kenny Veach, when it came to the Mojave Desert, it was trying to look for the M cave. There was a fair few M-shaped caves found. Not the M cave, but quite a few caves that, had similar characteristics. And yet, when looking at these photos of a different desert terrain, different area across the border, not come across a single M-shaped cave from, what I've seen. Kind of interesting, that. Yeah. Let's move on. Right, so I think this is to the mining area once again. God, I'd say this is one of the clearest images I've seen, at least, of the desert area in Lucerne. Yeah. Look how smooth it is and how clear it is in the distance. The problem is, when I've looked at previous photos, it's looked really blurry or really hazy, but that doesn't seem to be the case here, which is a good thing, as you can see. Yeah. But once again, it just shows that point that there's not much, is there? It's very flat. But I guess this is the thing. On the surface level, there isn't much to see. And if you used to just literally dump Dylan on the ground, it could be seen maybe from miles away. It could be seen from all angles if it's right in the open down there. That's not the case. Most people seem to believe that Dylan has been buried somewhere, okay? The actual location is debatable. It's up for debate, question. But what I would say is, whilst it's very vast and open and clear to see, it's what's going on underground. And there's a lot of surface area where Dylan could be placed. And that's what the biggest issue is. You get what I'm saying? Now, if you had a drone, though, out in that vast desert area and it could get a full 360-degree view and cover a certain range and take several photos, then maybe that's what can get the job done. Though, so far, it's not really yielded much success from at least what I've heard of or not heard from. You get me? What else do we have here, though? Oh, what's that there? Is that like trash? What's that black thing? Is it a TV? Is it some kind of cupboard? I don't know. And there's like some more trash there, like a toaster. I mean, why has that been placed there? That's kind of random. Looks modern as well. Is it some kind of storage thing? Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, interesting. And then there's something else there as well on the rock. Let's move on. Once again, very vast and open. Not much of roadways or dirt roads here, so no activity. All taken by the same person still. Also, if you just join in right now, we're just taking a look at this area because I've never seen these photos before. Just so you get more like ground level coverage. Is this directly of loose in Dylan's area or near to Dylan's area? Not really, but you see the desert terrain and it's following the theme and topic, trying to understand it from Lance Kelly's point of view to do with mountains and where Dylan could be placed at. Okay? Almost like a valley that going down. But there's not much to conceal or opportunities. Has that area been excavated in the past? There seems to be a few boulders and loose rocks about, and it dips down there. I wonder if that descends into a mine shaft. It looks like it could. I wonder if there's any other photos. Let's see. Okay, I can't seem to rotate that image. What's it of? Ah, okay. Is that one of those lizards? Hopefully you can see it. You see it kind of blends in as well. So we're actually getting more wildlife here in these still photos and some of the search footage. Well. Okay. Very rocky or gravelly, if you call it that. That's the other thing, when you get this like loose gravel, this loose rock, you step on it, you kind of sink into it and it shifts as well, a bit slippy. Not much going on. Mountain is the back there. But what's that there? Ground level. So it's silver, shiny. It could be a tub, could be some poles, like a structure or something. Don't know if it's for a mine shaft or not. But there's little things that just, stand out compared to everything else that's about. And then we've got more pictures here. You've actually got a dirt road there, as you see. Bends all the way down there. And then I guess over that way is one of the salt lakes. Yeah. So if anyone knows what direction we're facing in, or the name of that place nearby, feel free to list it. Just making sure I don't miss anything, that's why I'm hovering about. And then it gives you time to be able to view it yourself and internalize it, right? Apologies if there is any noise in the background, it's just because there's a twat of a neighbour next door using a noisy lawnmower, okay? We've returned back to that season of the twats. Let's move on. Okay, so more mine-related stuff. And it links back what we see there, you see, that in the middle of the screen, that is the photo, where is it? Here. It's the same thing from the looks of it. Okay. It's all within the area. So that's interesting. That does look like a mine shaft. Okay, so all this is what we previously looked at. It was all at the same location. So we saw that photo earlier. Vertical mine shaft, from the looks of it, that wooden structure, just above it, you see middle of the screen, looks like an opening. That is basically what we saw at the beginning, which was that, from the looks of it. Okay? So we know whether it's on ground level or not. And technically it's not on ground level, but it's not that high up. It's not that steep. So it is manageable. And you see there's a few like mounds as well. Gravel where it may have been collected at some point, dug up from somewhere. I mean, do you think this is the sort of location where Dylan could have been taken? Yes, no? Leave your thoughts. Just a bit further up, there appears to be like a sign in the ground, a post. I wonder what that says. Is it something like danger, keep out, or watch out, loose rock fall? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, interesting. We've not really seen many photos of the mines and mine shafts, especially on the Google Earth satellite imagery. It's impossible to see them, but ground level photos really does help. There you go. I wonder if, that looks like it's got snow over there in the distance on those mountains, from the looks of it. Very wide and open again, but no caves from what I can see of. Is that it? Okay, fair enough. So that was good, being able to see a new location. We're in Crater Island, so it's probably mainly scattered about this area. And that, like Salt Lake, what we saw is probably looking that way. We're probably looking that way. And then we saw the mountains in the distance, which probably Pilot Peak, Bald Eagle Mountain. So that is useful. And if it wasn't that way, it probably would have been looking over there. You see these different like salt lakes where they're dried up. So that's all good, that. We get a little bit of understanding of the location. Just randomly look about here. Any patchiness. But what was it called? Crater Island. It's kind of like an island, but there is mountains as well. Flip the image. Grouse Creek up that way. So north up that way would be Dylan's farm and grain and the farm and the grain shed itself. Okay, so it's not exactly too far away. We can do like a little distance check if you would like that. Just get a little measurer. Plop it about there. Just need that white text to get away. And then this Crater Island. There we go. About 16, 17 miles away. Not that bad, to be honest. You could drive a vehicle down, follow an appropriate route, dirt road, and dispose of Dylan. Possibility. Not heard anyone mention Crater Island, though, so maybe that isn't the case. But I just wanted to look at a different location. You get me? Just briefly zoom into these other areas, if they're named or not. Maybe get these like circular areas where it's kind of open. Obviously you've got little Pigeon Mountains there, but no images, unfortunately. Now, is this like an example of a place where you can't click on it, but if you type it in, it'll come up with photos? I'm not quite sure. Little Caesars? What? No time for that. Little Pigeon Mountain. No images whatsoever. Oh wait, hang on, did that take me to a different place? Pigeon Mountain. Oh, you've got two. That's a bit dodgy. Which goes here into this like weird opening. That's weird. And then that greenery on the side too. That overhang of the rock. That white box there. Right, so we've got Pigeon Mountain and Little Pigeon Mountain. That's interesting. I didn't know of that. Oh my god, it's glitching out. You can actually see through it. What the hell's going on there? A bit dodgy. Pigeon Mountain. And then Little Pigeon Mountain. Ah. So Dylan's farm is actually in between the two. Interesting. So, like, does it really matter? I mean, yeah, in a way, because, okay, you got Little Pigeon Mountain and Pigeon Mountain. They're technically the name the same thing, but they're in two different locations, and one's called Little, the other one isn't. What I'm trying to say is, you know, at times when we've heard about misinformation, people saying, oh, I was here doing this, I was there, or that needs to be checked out, or there was a witness there. And it's like, were they really? Or did they get the wrong word? Did they say the wrong name? I just wanted to point it out just in case, because just in case anyone does mention the name of a place and there just so happens to be another location nearby with the same name and then they actually meant the other area and not the other one. Sometimes it can get a little bit confusing, as you know, so there's no harm in bringing it up in between, right? So, yeah. Any other areas to take a brief look at? Not really. Not many names popping up. Apologies about the time it takes to load. Sometimes it processes longer than usual, which is a bit annoying. No names popping up for this area, unless it's like something you've got to type in, but I wouldn't know what to type in. Now, I think what we'll do is just briefly look back at the area which Lance has been like focusing on with his searches. I think during the snow time, winter time I should say, he's kind of like looking in this area and this area. Just wait for it to load in. Apologies about this. I mean, you know, it's like on the way to Montello. There is dirt roads nearby which you can access. You do have Patterson Pass which goes over the mountains. So if you was to do the back roads of where Brenner was squatting, that was doable. Candice Cooley did talk about Brenner using the back roads. And if you use the back roads, you get close to the mountainous area. I think it might have been this area which Lance was in at some point, just walking about here when it was really snowy. But it's just looking for like opportunity points where, you know, if you were disposing of someone, would you go here yourself? Is there any reasons, any factors which would prevent you from going here? Your own health, your own strength, your own stamina, durability, your height, the weather, the terrain, the quality of it. Do you have a vehicle, yes or no? You know, that's what you got to ask yourself. And if you relate more to someone like Brenner, not so much in background, history, personality, behaviour, but more so maybe health-related stuff or just simply age or similar height to Brenner, similar weight to Brenner, whatever, would you go here? No harm in asking, right? Coal Bank Springs. Do we have any images? I wonder if it's worth typing it in. Coal Bank Springs. Let's just type it in, see if anything comes up. Just cleared that. Oops. Coal Bank Springs. That's road. We didn't want the road, but there's no images regardless. Get rid of road. No, it's not working. What about if we do Governor's Spring? Get off. Oh, I don't know how to spell governor. Is it that Governor's Spring? I know it's spelled the other way, isn't it? Nah, fuck that, I can't even spell it. Never mind. Just wanted to see if there's any alternative photos of the area, you know what I'm saying? Coalbank Springs, there was no photos there. I mean, is that a dirt road? I think it is a dirt road. It goes up. Indian Spring here. I wonder if you type that in. Indian restaurant. No, doesn't seem to register. Fuck that. But does any of this area look the type of place where Dylan would be at, right? I mean, the only other person I can remember of who've pointed out in an area like this where Dylan could be at was Don Hately at the start, which turned out to be a false lead. What made Don Hately think that Dylan was somewhere Well, it was further down that way, Pilot Peak. Don Haley thought Dylan was in the mountains. Or was he just faking it to try and divert attention because it was elsewhere? You never know. A little bit dodgy, don't you think? Bodygun Mountain, which has been referred to several times now, to be honest. Still no photos uploaded. I mean, it would have been good if maybe like Lance uploaded some custom photos of the area. That could be actually useful, to be honest. As it covers a fair stretch as well, going all the way down. Well, what do we have here? Sheep Range Spring. That's weird, that Sheep Range. Same name as in the Mojave Desert to Kenny Beach and that hike. It's weird how you get these like little pointers. But my opinion personally is I just don't think Dylan would be taken to these areas. Just doesn't seem practical, to be honest. But what I do want to know is, probably it's not possible though, is what evidence has Lance Kelly seen or heard to make him think and feel that Dylan's in the mountains? That's what I want to know ultimately. Let me know your thoughts as well. I like how it's kind of like decided to load in now some of the imagery, and yet before it didn't. Why does it take so fucking long? Any other places? West Entrance Transcontinental. What's that of? Railroad. Museum. A museum? The only other place which has been mentioned a couple of times, get rid of that, but I don't know if it's Utah. Pilot Road. It might be Nevada. Bar Ranch in Utah. Whoa, what's this? Okay, this is a little bit dodgy. What the hell is this? So, I think Pilot Road is probably on the Nevada side. Yeah, it probably is. I might have just been getting mixed up with someone giving directions in the past saying on the opposite side of Pilot Road. I thought, what, in Lucerne? Huh? But I think Pilot Road was to do with typing it in when Quinton suggested, because he wanted to look on the maps for Area 52 Bar in Montello, Nevada, outer skirts near Pilot Road. And yet when I typed it in, I couldn't find it. There was no named places like that. And yet just now, to get this location, whatever it is, no clue, I just basically typed in Lucerne, Utah, Pilot Road, and then comes up with TL Bar Ranch. Does anyone know what this location is? Is it a real place? Does it exist? Is it dodgy? Is it a named location? Because it seems to be on here, in a way. As well. Could it be elsewhere? Has it been put in the wrong spot? Because this is what happens with Google Earth at times. They'll put these markers down, named something of a place, and it's nowhere near here, and it's further afar. TL Barn Ranch. No photos, though. Pilot Mountain Road, this bar ranch is at. So when it says bar ranch, I assume it's a bar where you get drinks from. You hang out, unless I'm wrong. Ground level. Come on, load in. Doesn't really seem to reveal much. I mean, it's a thick dirt road. Damn, that is a thick dirt road. Look how big that is. Whoa, what's going on there? There's the mountains. Pilot Peak down there. But I can't see any photos of a building, a structure in the area. Not at all. Nor is there any ground view imagery. So I don't know why that bar ranch is here, unless it's the name of a ranch, like a farm. such as somewhere down this way, which we've seen in the past. If anyone knows, leave a comment down below. If you want to research into this named location, feel free to do so. It's called TL Bar Ranch. It's never popped up before when I searched. You know what I'm saying? This is what I mean. There's like possibly a range of hidden named locations in the area, and it's just a bit odd. Now, is it the key to finding Dylan Rounds? No, but it's a key to being able to look at more imagery, possibly more photos of the area, ground level, right? So I think we'll leave it there for now. I just wanted to do a little map analysis of the whole mountain trend, right? I guess we'll go on to the forum page and just read on from there. Right, so here we are on the site. The main reason why we're continuing this is to see if there are any key questions, key discussions, bits of information that might have been missed with time to look back on. Even like if we need to correct or update information, we can do so. In recent time, we've come across some interesting pages and discussions, and it has kicked off numerous additional videos as well, such as the weather in Lucin, the witnesses present, and some other talk in between as well. Let's try and keep that going. Page 19 in July the 9th, 2022, current conversations, responding back to do with that news article. Kimster says, whether he's guilty of Dylan going missing or not, I'm glad he's off the streets. Sounds like the kind of guy we don't want mingling in society. Well, it's a bit late for that, don't you think? He's been around long enough and he's caused a fair bit of trouble already. Guess who? And especially not as a neighbour, yeah. Regina, well, personally, I'd have to know more the incident with the lawn chair, lol. Seriously, although I'm aware of his criminal HX at this point, I'm not of the opinion that Jim is a danger to society. Well, fair enough. But I'm sure Regina may have changed her opinion since, because when we looked at that court case document, I don't know if these people heard about it at the time, maybe it's mentioned later on. It officially said that Brenner is a danger to the general public. That's what it actually stated officially. So I guess this person didn't hear about it at the time. Not quite. What's this one? James Brenner, Dylan Rounds suspect. 5 fast facts you need to know. This could well be a full circle what I've kind of done. I don't know if this is the actual article I read, heavy.com. This might actually be the very first video I ever made on the Dylan Rounds case back last year. Wow. This was the first article I read about the case to be kind of like up to scratch on things, okay? Because, yeah, I think I did start covering it July, just kind of like at the beginning, like with the mental breakdown in the background family member, and then just spending every single day to get away from it and to distract myself by doing the Dylan Rounds coverage for 4 months straight, every single video every day. Yeah, I remember it now. Wow. We might as well just briefly read it. James Brenner is a Utah felon who has been named as a suspect in the disappearance of Dylan Rounds, missing farmer whose family has offered a large reward after he vanished into thin air in May 2022. Yep. Brenner, Rounds' neighbour, was named by authorities in July, according to the Jefferson Star. James Brenner, 58 at the time, is in federal custody on firearm charges, newspaper reports. Yep. 1. Brenner was squatting on land near Rounds' farm, authorities say. That's incorrect. Brenner was squatting near the grain shed. At some point, I guess through misunderstanding and confusion, people started assuming that the grain shed was Dylan's farm or was a part of Dylan's farm. That's not the case. Dylan does not own the grain shed. Brenner's squatting at the grain shed nearby, not Dylan's farm. 2 separate places, okay? So that clears up that misinformation. What does it say? According to affidavit, shelter for the grain truck was reported to be on a parcel of land owned by Box Elder Land and Livestock, owner initials JC, and is adjacent to two other parcels that are owned by SH and RI. These parcels are open to each other and collectively used together. Okay, that's useful, that's helpful. Bit of consistency there. In recent time, we've heard of these names shortened, and I think she's called Patsy. A couple of videos ago, she provided the names of these individuals with the abbreviated surnames too. So that's all good there. Brenner has no ownership in the land parcels mentioned and is squatting in a trailer located on the land. The affidavit states, the missing 19-year-old male Dylan Round's property is a 5-mile walk towards southeast of where Brenner was currently living. Yeah. Let me just double check that. Southeast. Wait, no, hold on. Southeast. Oh, I see. They're doing it that way round if you were at the grain shed and then walking to the farm. Okay. 2. Brenner was interviewed by authorities in connection with Round's disappearance. Okay. Let's see. According to the affidavit, Brenner and another Luton resident, Don Haitley, were considered family friends of Dylan Rounds and his family. In searching for a missing 19-year-old male, Brenner was interviewed by Box Elder County Sheriff's Office on June the 7th, 2022. Don Haitley was also subsequently interviewed by law enforcement on or about June 11th, 2022. Box Elder County, in their search for the missing 19-year-old male, Dylan Rounds, requested assistance from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the Davis County Sheriff's Office, the affidavit says. Okay, that seems to tie in. On June 16th, 2022, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, with the assistance of FBI, executed a search warrant at the trailer where Brenner was living, near the grain shed. During that search, ball ammunition, ignition caps, black powder, speed loads, all related to muzzle loading, located, photographed in the trailer. But the items were not seized at the time. Okay. There was no, yeah. I mean, we might have seen some of this, to be fair, on one of the previous articles, but no harm in being consistent reading for it, because it, you know, if you don't remember it the first time, you might remember it the second time you read it out, right? On June 20th, 2022, a friend, neighbour of Brenner, Don Haitley, was interviewed by Box Elder County Sheriff's Office. During the interview, Don Haitley advised that after Dylan Rounds went missing and sometime after Brenner's initial June 7th, 2022 interview, Brenner brought 3 black powder guns over to his, Don Haitley's, residence and asked him to safekeep them. And as we know, previous video what we did, when we did a poll about that, I think a fair few people believed that there was possibility that Brenner was passing on those items because he, you know, was guilty and he didn't want to be associated with firearms and Dylan going missing. When Don Haitley asked why, Brenner stated that he needed to do this for his own safety and that the last time he had trouble with the law, they took everything from him and he did not want those things to happen again. It reads, Don Haitley agreed to store the muzzle loaders for him. At the time of the interview, Don Haitley turned over the 3 muzzle loaders to Box Elder County, so booked them into evidence. On June 21st, 2022, Don Haitley was again interviewed by FBI. During this interview, Don Haitley advised that Brenner had brought him a .22 caliber rifle. Around the same time, he had brought over the muzzle loaders. Don Haitley told us that he didn't mention the .22 rifle when interviewed before because he had been owed money by the rifle's original owner and that he felt that he should have claim over the .22 rifle that Brenner asked him to store to cover the debt. Yeah, we've seen all this. Okay. Number 3. Brenner was previously convicted of felonies including a gun charge. Yeah. Daily Beast reports that Brenner's criminal history includes malicious wounding, malicious shooting, and multiple charges of felon in possession of a firearm. According to East Idaho News, more details came out at Brenner's detention hearing on the federal gun charge, with prosecutors labelling him dangerous. That site reports that he is an outstanding warrant. Yeah. Lengthy history of violence. Brenner's attorney countered that The attempted murder charge was 30 years ago and dropped to malicious shooting. She said he had 2 gun violations over the past 30 years. So, looks like the attorney was trying to play things down. Public safety assessment for Brenner. Now, we're not going to look into that really because I did do a singular video about that stuff, okay? It will be on my channel. I think I called it Safety Assessment as well, titled. For Brenner helped on the farm with Rounds, who was described as a strong-headed, passionate. Cooley, Rounds' mother, described him in Facebook posts, one of the best 19-year-old, hard-working, passionate. What's this? Brenner often helped her son at his farm, but it wasn't full-time. Rounds' boots were located, a few clues have emerged. ABC4 reports that his family found his truck on Memorial Day and it had not been moved, but oddly, it had been power washed. So they're saying it's not been moved, but at the same time later they said it was used for it to have mud on and, it was used to get somewhere to dispose of Dylan. Interesting. Quotes. His boots were found a short distance from the farm property and they're now being analysed, the station reported. That's at the dirt mound. Round's mother told East Island News that his boots were found near where Brenner was staying. Was staying on her son's property. No. Brenner was not staying on her son's property because Dylan does not own the grain shed. So that's misinformation, that. Quote, it looked like they were just tossed out there, Mother Candice Cooley said to the news outlet. Okay. Boots were located behind a dirt pile 100 yards from where the grain truck was parked in the grain shed. Okay. Oh, here we go. We've got some normal comments now. Let's see how people respond. Grandma Bear. Brenner is no law-abiding citizen or easygoing guy. That much seems clear. If true, seems it is. He certainly is a felon with a number of firearms, etc. Family friend Don Haley seems part of it, or not much better, but he isn't going to go that far as to defend Brenner or not throw him under the bus. Well, I thought he did. The answer lies here. I would think either with both or one and all the area and ways and maybe more than one know what the deal is and what happened. This is going to sound random, but whenever I read these comments out by Grandma Bear, I don't know why, but I always think it's the shack lady secretly. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the long text, possibly. Anyway. It's one thing for a felon to have a firearm. Maybe he feels he needs one to protect himself or family, so he will risk breaking that law. But Brenner had a lot, the way it sounds, this and that, muzzle loaders. Okay. But from the looks of it, Brenner was by himself, so he didn't really have anyone to defend. So there wouldn't be need for that. What was it? Nate Eaton? Yeah, that one. Yeah, I think that was the second or third one they did with East Island News. Even though the headlines sound like it is about his birthday mainly, it's more about the case, info and response. Yeah, I remember that one. Kim Starr. I saw this on my feed last night, didn't get around to watching it. There you go. Grandma Bear. Yeah, I've had no time. Okay. Nor on YouTube. I'm so far behind. I gather they're being attacked somewhat online as it happens in many cases, especially it seems the ones where parents or parties come out as to use the media and platforms to get the word out. There's one. Petito, Summer, Wells and more have seen it with criticised that they let their son go out there, talk of her leaving her kids or not having them for a number of years she refers to, etc. I'm not up on many of that, but agree with her on what does it have to do with finding him? Nothing at all. I would say I wouldn't have been comfortable with my kids somewhere like this sounds. And so odd and isolated, so much of the info to people there comes from her. Actually, but it is besides the point. And I don't mean it in a judgmental way. I mean, I would be concerned every minute of every day of my kid was in a trailer miles from help or family. With such types around, I just would. That may be, however, why he was checked in with so often, of course. And what can one do when a kid is an adult? You can't stop them. Okay. Sad YouTubers and others like Facebook are taking these things though and using it as ammunition and distraction. what I'd want to say once again is, why would people want to cause distractions in this case? All I could think of is because they are responsible themselves. Misdirection, go off the scent, so then whatever you've done, created, is, kept a secret. That's the only way I see it. There wouldn't be any other reason to do it. She looks so worn out and tired, but still very committed. Anyhow, thought I'd chat. Okay. Oh, what's this one? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we saw this image. Remember this on the Facebook page. Linda on Dylan at about 9:35 in, mostly her taken on recent things. Case update. I've never seen of this person. Have you ever seen of this person's channel? Case updates, it's a crime. Dylan Rounds, Justin Evans. What? Oh, I don't know who that is. Chase Venstra has been cleared. Okay. Not part of... See, look, you see how it's worded there? Chase Venstra, not part of investigation in Dylan Rounds. Chase Venstra has been cleared from the investigation of Dylan Rounds. Yeah. Oh, is it written down below? Well, we might as well read it out. Why don't we? Missing in Utah, Chase Venstra not part of the investigation. Okay, so he's been cleared. And this was back then in the past. It says, but Venstra was connected to the disappearance based on a federal document which stated Davis County Sheriff's Office and Box Elder Sheriff's Office executed a residential search warrant on Venstra's known residence in conjunction with a homicide investigation. Homicide investigation being Dylan Rounds' case. Okay. 2 months later, no one's been charged. We're just hoping that they get that one piece that somebody can be charged with and finally use it, said Cooley. So really, even though Candice Cooley seemed certain that it was only one person and only one person involved and no one else, and she's just saying, we're just hoping that they get that one piece, that somebody can be charged. Candice Cooley referring to somebody. So she doesn't even really know who it is back then. Speaking of back then. And when you use the word somebody, it's more than one person. Only one of them can be charged. Or only one Candice Cooley wants charged, if that's the case. But it hints at more than one person. And the bit about Chase Venstra, where it said he's been cleared of charges. He was treated as a suspect at one point, but then was cleared later. And yet Candice Cooley, in a past interview, said that Box Elder never treated him in the investigation with Dylan to begin with. It was separate. And yet here it's worded as it was in line with Dylan's disappearance. That homicide investigation, that residential search of Venstra's, Venstra's residence, which is, in Ogden, Clinton or something? Let's see. 2 months later, yeah. But yesterday in federal court, a podcast host met with the federal prosecutor following Venstra's brief court appearance. He is facing federal gun violations similar to Brenner, but it's not to do with Dylan. He said that, as far as he knows, Chase Venstra is no longer a person of interest in Dylan's disappearance, the host of True Crime Utah said, and that is a shock. The host of True Crime Utah. That is Glorin Dellen, the person we referred to earlier on with Brenner's court case. Okay, so she's even popped up here in this article. The podcast was instantly picked up by other podcast channels. Some doubted the information was true. It was a topic on the podcast No Thanks Investigates last night. Podcast channels? Oh, no. I kind of find podcast kind of obnoxious. The way they all sit around with beards and microphones half shoved and rammed into the mouth, trying to sit there and look intelligent. Oh, yes, let's have a long, deep discussion, 5 hours long, about the evolution of humans and nature. Ooh, yes, please, fuck off. Yeah, it's just such a sheepish trend because everyone's doing a podcast now. All the celebrities are doing podcasts. All these companies are doing podcasts. Just walk away, okay? What is it with podcasts? It's all over the place. Anyway, and as well, they're not podcasts, these channels. No thanks, it's not exactly a podcast. Neither is like my channel. It's like just talking about the case. It's like a bit more interactive. You know what I'm saying? You like podcasts, and I'm like, well, maybe not all, but a bit more pre-recorded and discussions only between two people or a group of them, and that's it. That singular topic. Not quite correct wording, I would say. It says, we were talking about how Chase is no longer a person of interest and how he made a deal, and I'm not believing anything, said Douglas Hutton, who hosts the podcast. No thanks. I don't think anyone is going to tell us anything unless it's a press release. But late Thursday, Cooley said she spoke with an FBI agent about Venstra's involvement. She said that the FBI never considered him a person of interest and that the search warrant was misconstrued. Bottom line, Venstra's been cleared. Cooley said the only person who is the target of the investigation now is James Brenner. He remains in jail and has pleaded not guilty to the gun violation charges. His trial is scheduled for September 2022. Which was delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. Fast forward to 2023, delayed again. Okay, so it's really good how we're doing like a full circle here. This is exactly what I wanted when it came to looking back, okay, into this case. Whilst it's kind of faded away the coverage, and whilst people have lost interest in the case, as you can tell by the number of views on videos across all boards of channels, it's quieter now. You can breathe a little bit more. You can think a little bit clearer, right? And some people might be still a bit confused here and there, but it's allowing that opportunity, that space to be able to be confused and have the time to recover as well without being further confused on top of that. Right, you put aside all that additional noise, gets a little bit easier, don't you think? Anything else? Grandma Bear, pretty much the way Dylan's mum has always taught as well. Brenner is the person of interest. Kimster, that's what I was thinking from day one. She said she didn't think it was Chase. Okay. Regina, well, I want to know what happened to Dylan at least. So much as anyone else here, but at this point it just doesn't make sense to me. But for some reason and out of the blue, Brenner would have murdered Dylan. Well, snap mentality. If he's done it in the past, he could do it again. My position is that whatever happened is awful, but what it is specifically, I don't know. Kimster, the only thing I can think of is that he was boiling up some kind of resentment. Well, Kenneth Cooley believes it was more on the spot and not planned, premeditated, not that. Grandma Bear, well, the mom was on with Duty Ron last night, back then, and Brenner is very much in their sights, or so it would seem, and they have called him a suspect. She stressed how it was all on that property, everything. Well, if everything was on that property, then Dylan would have been found by now. Okay? The show started out cutting in and out, her connection, and I almost gave up. Okay. He isn't my number one show, but he's okay and she trusts him. And he promotes Equisearch and he has them on at times. The internet trolls and groups, some, I gather, are really tearing her and the family apart. Kimster, the way some people act when they're following these cases appalls me. It's like they don't have any new news, so they have to make crap up. And then they say they're on the side of the victim. How can that be on the side of the victim when they are ripping the victim's loved ones apart? Pisses me off. Crazy is still out there by me. It's not been over 10 years. Grandma Bear with a long paragraph again. I agree. On a case or two, I found myself in finding updates on channels, etc. On a channel that fast becomes like that. The commentators are different, as are the host. They seem to eat it up and are borderline nasty and vicious, and some outright are. I drop them like a hot potato. I've once or twice some time back been suckered in for a bit when it starts slowly, and then I know the case and see something put out as fact that I know is not a fact that starts taking on a life of its own, and I call them on it and quit. The scariest thing is news media has taken some of this sometimes as fact. Well, I think as well what you need to acknowledge, some of this news media has not listened to the YouTube channels creating misinformation. They've made up their own misinformation. I've seen those news channels, ABC4 News Utah, maybe Fox 13 News Utah, and all that dodgy stuff, the way they've piled together different interview clips of Candice Cooley, one from several months ago and one recent, and putting it together as if it's tying all together. Just like when there were recent time where Candice Cooley and Justin were saying that they were optimistic that there is progress forwards and that Brenner is the main focus, the suspect. And then that ABC4 News Utah recently did like a video of their own, 1 minute long, and added in old audio saying, or an old script by a current presenter saying that there are two suspects, two people of interest tied to the case. And it's like, not anymore. That's outdated, and yet they pieced it together as if it was just recent and relevant. So whilst people can hound and go after YouTube channels, just remember the news channels on YouTube and outside of YouTube are doing their own stuff, making their own things up as well, which is even more damaging because more people listen to that than certain YouTubers, right? I guess at the end of the day, it's all bad as each other, but some are more worse than others. And as well, it depends what YouTube channels you look at, right? What you do see quite a lot is people keep referring back to as YouTubers, but they don't mention the exact names of these YouTubers. They're very vague in what they say. It's like they're generalizing everyone. If you give some kind of statistic, like even 90% or 80%, 50%, even that would be a bit more useful. What else do we have? It has happened with the West Boys, Summer Wells, Morphew, Petito are the top ones that come to mind. Just quick question in the chat. Has it resurfaced, the Summer Wells case? Because I've heard about it in the past when I was doing Kenny Veach. Didn't look into Summer Wells, but it was talked about them. Fast forward to now, recently, I saw it on No Thanks channel. I think Zavgirl's done it herself. It's just like, what's happened recently? Even Lance Kelly did a live stream recently. And if you wanted to know the context behind that, one of those videos got taken down. It was from a couple of days ago, or maybe a week. And the reason why is because they were using footage from an interview, maybe from Dr. Phil, one of those interview footages. And Lance Kelly kept pausing it and giving his own commentary. So kind of fair use, copyright stuff like that. But they weren't having none of it. And then I think Lance Kelly got a strike, or if not that, he just got a copyright claim and he had to take down the video. I think the video was actually taken down automatically due to literal copyright. So a little bit messy there, right? But it's happened. Though, yeah, has Summer Wells revitalised, in talking points, relevance, or what? Has there been an update? Feel free to leave your thoughts. Anyway, I at times do, as you know, feel parents are guilty, but there is still a way of discussing it without outright lies and personal vicious changing of facts and outlandish lies theories just to draw views, and they don't give a shit if falsehoods have a negative effect on the solving case, and then they get mad when family stops talking or lawyers up. Yeah, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. There's ways of talking about these points without directly saying this person is 100% guilty, right? I get that. Oh God, not another article. Going to drain me. Is this the last one? Okay, it's the last one. Let's read this one. Final stretch. I'm glad these are being posted, all these articles, and actually talked about below it as well. Missing in Utah. Search warrant executed on suspect in Dylan's disappearance. Brenner's property raided by Nevada authorities. In June, Box Elder Sheriff's Office named Brenner a suspect in the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. I knew it was going to happen, said Candice Cooley, Dylan's mother. I didn't want to release it because we didn't want law enforcement bombarded. What? What? You didn't want law enforcement... Candice Cooley didn't want law enforcement bombarded, and yet she was the one down the line that encouraged general public, such as on the page of Dylan Rounds, to bombard law enforcement. A little bit hypocritical, that, in a way, don't you think? Though, the only way of understanding it would be maybe around this time, the police were doing the job. They weren't causing too much trouble or incompetence. And it was after this when Candice Cooley realised that not much good was coming out of it. And then she felt the need to spread awareness. Interesting. That's interesting, that. It also says, but earlier, Monday, Ty Corbin and Lance Kelly were there to watch authorities from Elko County Sheriff's Office drive towards their target. Lance Kelly took a video of law enforcement driving past them. Wait, hold on. Wait, really? I don't remember seeing that video. The only video I saw was of Lance Kelly and Kimber. I'm sure it was Kimber in the car as police force went past, but that was in Montello, Nevada, when going to Brenner's burnt down trailer. I think this is something else, what's worded here. Did anyone watch a video of Lance Kelly filming law enforcement driving past when going to the target? Did anyone see that video? I must have missed it. It says, we found out 5 minutes before taking the video, said Kelly. We got a tip the FBI was at the post office in Montello. Corbin said they also got closer to authorities as they pitched a canopy, possibly for their search or shade. We didn't want to get too close and interfere with the search, said Ty Corbin. The search warrant allowed investigators to search Brenner's property near Montello, Nevada. It's a short distance from Rounds Farm in Lucin. Hold on. No, this is exactly what I was talking about before. Oh my God. So this is to do with Brenner's burnt down trailer in Montello. This is what I was actually saying before. So it's all the same thing, right? But the way it was worded, they were making it seem like it was to do with when Brenner was arrested or Brenner's trailer in Lucin. But no, this is to do with the Montello burnt down trailer where Brenner no longer lives. Fucking hell, stupid wording. Now, at the time I thought it was Lance and Kimber in the truck, in their vehicle when the police drove past. I'm sure I heard Kimber's voice. So I don't know why Ty is associating himself with this if he wasn't there. A bit messy. Unless Ty was in the vehicle in the back seat. I don't remember hearing his voice though. I didn't hear his voice. You'd probably have to look back at the previous video on Lance's channel to be able to understand it. Yeah. It's on James Brenner's property, Cooley said. So it was property that he had. It was a shack that he lived in. I knew about this property. Dylan told me about his shack burning down. Shack? Shack? It's not a shack. Not a shack, lady. What's going on here? It's a trailer. It's an RV trailer. Exactly like the trailers you see in Montello. The trailers you see in Lucin. But a shack? That is not a shack. I don't know what the hell they're talking about here. Oh my God. By noon, news of the search went viral on social media. Did it go viral on social media? I don't remember it going viral. Oh, here we go. In quotes, the feds and detectives are in Montello right now, said Mike Lee, also known as Salty Pancakes, posted on his YouTube channel. They're in Montello right now with their cadaver dogs. Yeah, that's when Pancake's footage was used for the news programme, as well as Lance Kelly's. Thing was, Lance Kelly was in the area when the police were driving past. Pancakes was on some random highway at the time. Cooley was certain cadaver dogs would be used in their search Monday. I know Elko County is showing up in full force, she said. They were not going to leave any stone unturned. You heard that right, Stoney. So I'm sure they got their dogs out there. They're going to go out there and wipe that place clean. We can either have more questions or have evidence, or we can wipe it off our slate. Late Monday afternoon, Cooley confirmed cadaver dogs were used, but authorities did not find anything related to the investigation. Lance Kelly also said they had tipped the FBI about something odd at Brenner's property, such as the shovels in the ground, you know. In quotes, What I saw there, Brenner's property, when we showed up was the burnt frame of his trailer, Lance Kelly said. There was clearly an explosion. We walked a little bit further and my wife noticed 2 shovels, one of them sticking straight up out the ground. And next to the shovels were 2 depressions of dirt where someone had clearly been digging and had filled them back in. Near one of the depressions was a pickaxe. I don't remember seeing a pickaxe then. He said they documented the area and forwarded what they found to the FBI. It may have been the probable cause needed for authorities to convince a Nevada judge to sign off on a warrant. Fair enough. Okay. So that's the end of that. We will continue next time. As for the forum here, we don't want to go too heavy. Most likely it will continue on from that article, what we've just read. So just be aware of that as for one's memory, okay? So once again, in my opinion, that was very interesting, that reading through all of it and looking back at those different articles. I'll be honest with you, a couple of those articles, what we read out, I have never read before. I've heard about the events that took place, but not the actual article and how it was structured and the quotes of these individuals that were present, such as Ty Corbin supposedly, or Lance Kelly. Though I do not remember seeing Ty Corbin at Brenner's burnt down trailer at any point, unless he did his own separate video. Because when Lance did his video, it was only him and Kimber, so I don't know why Ty is associating himself unless he was there as well, but by himself, don't know. We saw a few more contradictions by Candice Cooley. Not new contradictions, just past ones, okay? But it gives you a bit of insight to the backstory of how Candice Cooley said this, then that, did this, then did the opposite down the line, okay? Maybe some things were ironed out eventually, but others not so much. Let me know your thoughts. Did you learn something new in this video? Any information that needs questioning? Did you pick up on anything yourself? If so, list it down below in the comment section. And also, let me know your thoughts about the talk about the mountainous areas where Dylan could be at, in like the words of Lance Kelly, and the evidence he knows of which hints at that, whatever that is, to be honest. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there for now. It was kind of a heavy video, but we got some more timelines, if you want to call it that, I guess. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye and good night for now.